Goodman is the only other guy outside of Rand Fishkin that I was on a round bed in Hugh Hefner's, suite in Las Vegas. This goes back to the early Yahoo days of the early Yahoo parties where there was crazy amounts of money and so forth. But outside of that, no scandalous stuff going on. It's purely, he's one of the top experts in the PPC and SEM industry. He's been doing paid search since its infancy, since before the probably Google ads. So I'm really looking forward to sitting down with him, having me ask him questions so you get to know this guy. Andrew Goodman from Page Zero Media is super, super smart. You'll see. You'll just see. Watch this interview, you'll see. Andrew, thanks for sitting with me and talking about paid search stuff and search marketing. We're at XMX. It's a nice day.
Beautiful day. We're close. This is not how we're not normally close talkers like this, but no, it's important.
But we're trying new things. That's what's important in the industry. It's constantly adapt, change is constant. So we're very close. In any event, please tell people who you are.
Hey, I'm Andrew Goodman, and Barry's going to introduce me. I've been doing I run an agency called Page Zero Media. We've been focused heavily on PPC or paid media like Google Ads and the rest for 19 years, and we're still doing it, and I've been sort of speaking at these shows. At one point, one of this conference series, I spoke 48 in a row in North America, so that was pretty fun.
Nice streak.
Yeah.
You've been doing paid search since before Google Ads, right?
Well, I pretty much started with Google Ads, but I was writing about this stuff. So
you wrote
yes,
the first book,
Overture. Right? I wrote a book on Google Ads.
Right.
That was the main thing. Google AdWords, obviously, is what it was then.
Right.
And I actually wrote a little blog post. We call it a blog back then, traffic.com, called PPC or Paid Search is Here to Stay. Because a lot of people thought it stunk because it wasn't really integrated, it wasn't native advertising. Actually, they invented it, as you remember. They invented it where they thought people might just come and see who was bidding on the keywords, which didn't happen, and then they got acquired by Yahoo eventually. So
it's amazing how much has changed especially a lot in the ad side of search over the years. Overture was the big guy back in the old days, I guess.
Yes, and Google launched their competitor and violated some patents and paid Yahoo off $300 million worth of Google stock upon their IPO. So
right.
Now they can do that.
Then Microsoft partnered with Yahoo, took all their clients and started big ads, or now Microsoft Advertising.
Yep.
That's what happened, right?
Yeah, Microsoft and Yahoo were partnered for a while, and it was a pain to have a separate Yahoo platform once we knew that they were partnered. It was good when they consolidated, although you have still something called Yahoo Gemini that still exists.
Yes. In fact,
there you go.
What are the chances a Yahoo, it's not focusing on it. Focus. All right, it says Yahoo Gemini, believe me. Any event, I don't know where I got this. What is Yahoo Gemini?
It's largely mobile traffic that people get when they search Yahoo. So it's mobile Yahoo. So you're gonna, if you have a big account in the U.S., you might still want to worry about that.
So to be Verizon Gemini, I guess, right?
Something like that.
I don't know. Any of it. So I guess your clients spend. I guess you have lots of clients. You don't do any SEO, just paid search, right?
We also do some SEO. We bundle it under a range of services that we call findability, which means everything but paid stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing to know that you're running your agency for 20 years now.
And probably never thought I would do it this long. Yeah.
Do you actually think about it when you started, like how long I'm going to do this, or no? Do you think about that, or no? I didn't think about that. I don't know.
I didn't even think I would run an agency. I thought we would run a competing a website to search engine watch and flip it for $1 million, and then I'd go back to being a university professor. But it didn't work.
You miss those days, being a professor?
I don't really miss being a professor. I think you change as a person. It's hard work.
Yeah.
In a different way.
For sure. Okay, let's go into talking about tactics, or I don't know if they're tactics, but you mentioned a topic called challenges and opportunities for growing, sites, I guess businesses that are not established yet in the e-commerce, retail, brand side.
Yeah, that's when it's fun, when you have the new challenge. You get shiny new, a business that's got some potential.
Right.
And it's in consumer retail because there's all this data. And we've always felt like e-commerce is a key niche for us, in part because Google's model fits that well in terms of if it is paid media, if people are searching. Google's always been about separating out commercial intent from other kinds of intent and showing the SERP that kind of fits a selection of potential paths a user might take. And lately everyone's now discovered Google's a big company, they show a lot of ads, and there's kind of finally this backlash. But certainly consumers embrace seeing the picture of the item they're looking for. And so between building an account that has that correct mix of shopping style units, other text ads, higher funnel, lower funnel, and mixing in all the audience things we have to play with now and retargeting, it's very hard to do. So when a new company, maybe they've got some backing and they're not unknown, but they need that help, and you kind of tiptoe into the account and do an audit, and you see, wow, there's still a lot of beginners trying to learn here, and of course you just bleed money, and someone has to take over and do it right.
And they're bleeding, so they come to you primarily running their own campaigns usually?
Oh, that would be a mix. So the one I'm thinking of is an apparel brand that I think is really cool. It's ethically sourced, items, and it's like an American Apparel, but a baby kind of. Maybe someday will be like American Apparel, only more ethical.
Right.
And they actually told us something really interesting. 2 years ago, when they tried to launch this account, Google reps ran it right away. And that didn't last. And then an agency that did a very strange job. You have to hit KPI targets. There's no mystery around retail. When the CPA target is $40 or 20 or 60, it's probably not 300 for a T-shirt.
Right.
So that's a pretty straightforward challenge. Not too hard to figure out what your metrics are.
It's interesting because at least recently, there's been a lot of controversy in the SEM community around this new Google partner requirements. I don't know if you've seen it.
Absolutely. We've certainly received that email.
Right. So I don't know what your spend is, but I know they had they increased their spend by 2 times, I guess, which shouldn't probably affect you guys. But they have now an 80% of your staff that log into the console, I guess, or the dashboard.
It might be 50, but then they've got a bug in who's counting as your staff.
Right.
So clients are counting, and we have 90 to 100% of our team is qualified always, and we're showing at below the threshold currently. So that's
interesting.
Now we're getting tips. I guess Jenny Marvin wrote about it. You go around to your clients and say, "Hey, could you kick Jennifer out because she doesn't have to have that level of access?" That's too awkward.
Yeah.
I would go to a client I wasn't afraid to lose to ask that, but I'm not monkeying with those relationships.
So are you speaking with Google about this directly or not really?
I will eventually, as we get closer to the deadline, talk with them. Many people are thinking it's not really that, and it's not really the spend requirement. What's really strange to me is that I'll just make up a number, but we were 100 times their old spend requirement, and now we're 50 times, right? So that's so low still to us. And yet these other requirements are to accept the automated account optimization recommendations that show up, a blizzard of them in the account, and actually says we're close. So I could talk with Google and say, well, what gets us there without adopting harmful suggestions?
I mean, that's the biggest thing I heard is that Google's kind of, I guess, forcing or strongly encouraging companies like yourselves to kind of put the Google Ads requirements, which is often usually self-serving for them to make more revenue, above and beyond the client's goals.
Yeah, and I think there are 2 facets, and we get a lot of back and forth with Google reps in the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 years. It's not always just self-serving from a revenue standpoint. Sometimes it's, can you get ahead of the curve and adopt this product so we can train our bots faster? So the product's not really working yet, but it will. Right. Well, why would I want to adopt it then?
Interesting. Okay.
I would rather hang back until it works.
Interesting. Okay, so we'll see what happens with that. And then I know you guys, especially in the ad world, have to do a lot of experimenting, a lot of testing. Can you talk a little about your strategies and tips around that?
Well, absolutely. It's all about testing. And I'll plug my new blog at the end. But there's a lot of of things that should not be asserted in this world because it's all testable, including macro level strategies, and the ones that, let's say, Google is now pushing, smart bidding and different things settings that you can turn on. If there's a wonderful lab feature in Google Ads, as people know, called Google Campaign Drafts and Experiments. It's you use the experiment part. I don't know what the draft is for, to send it to your mother-in-law to see what she thinks before. I drafted it up. Norma, what do you think? Can I do this? Hey, shout out to my mother-in-law.
There you go.
But the experiment part could be done with just 50-50 running the traffic, with one setting on semi-manual or manual bid, and then the other one adopting, let's say, target ROAS as the bid strategy. If you run that long enough, you might have a pretty good idea whether that is actually getting you the results on all the metrics you're looking at, and there's still some caveats there. So the one caveat would be, the bots will go after what they want, what you've told them to do. But if they do it by cannibalizing queries away from other campaigns that have different purposes, or if they somehow trick you by using a lot of easy remarketing audiences to create kind of a fake ROAS situation and where it shouldn't be, or smuggle in brand queries that are, again, somewhere else that they should be, then so there are a lot of pitfalls that you ought to watch out for when you run an experiment.
I find that for like most, I guess, PPC experts like yourself, you're savvy enough to know where Google's kind of, not necessarily tricking you, but trying to like show you information to think your campaign's working really well. But in fact, it's just a way for them to get more budget from you or more ad revenue from you. Do you believe that Google intentionally tries to show metrics or do certain types of automated, like broad matching, automated type of techniques to kind of use up people's budgets faster in a way to generate more revenue for themselves, or you're not on
with
that belief?
With the growth they've seen in revenues by shoehorning in small tweaks and anchoring and framing techniques within the UI for novices that get fooled, it's clearly working, and it's not working for everyone across the board that we're all getting fooled.
Right.
What's happening is the revolving door of newcomers in the platform, or people they've temporarily convinced of something, will bump up their quarterly results. You have the auction is affected by someone misinterpreting a feature. Like first page bid next to a keyword. Does it really mean you're dead in the water if you don't bid to $1.07? Of course not. And the campaign type from the setup is very confusing. There's a setting called Maximize Clicks under your budget. That when you set it up, it looks pretty good. It just looks like I like to focus on clicks. And in fact, so even choosing what bid strategy you use is something that you never chose in the past. It was always a one strategy, and now there are about 7.
Which is why, like, when somebody's looking to potentially hire a company like you or a person like you to do their campaigns, they're like, why do I need to spend money on you when Google will either do it for me for free, or I can do it myself?
Right.
The truth is, you're probably saving customers tremendous amounts of money by knowing these things and staying on top of it for them.
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned the example of the clothing startup, that when campaigns don't ever get liftoff, that's when it's proof that, so that's the flip side of it. It's not viable at all until someone actually can run it for profit. So
awesome. How can people follow you, learn more about you, about these tools and different things?
So I decided I won't write another book. I wrote a book a long time ago, 2 editions. It's in 6 languages. Google Results with Winning AdWords, or Google something.
Google something.
And so I decided a good way to create content now is to stay on it over an extended period of time and create parts that are broken down. And I said, well, what's wrong with everybody trying to get noisy and post 3 articles? It's that people go, I didn't even notice that. So I've decided to write 50 parts, 1 a week. And so we'll keep reminding people that The Science of PPC, all one word, thescienceofppc.com, is where I'll be showing up every Thursday for the next, 37 more weeks.
Awesome. The Science of PPC. Awesome. And if they want to follow you personally on your social media, or not really so much?
Sure, why not? At Andrew_Goodman.
There you go.
That's good enough.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Barry.
I appreciate it.